Check. Check. dear friends. His Holiness is
With homage to His Holiness the 17th Gyalwa Karmapa, Tashi Delek, and a warm welcome to His Eminent Jamgo Kongdo Rinpoche, distinguished teacher Venerable Lama Champa Thaye, Khenpo Lobsang, Khenpo Chocho, Umze Punzo Dawala, interpreters, and the Karmapa Public Course 2025 participants, and my four fellow KIBI staff. So on this auspicious day, White Wednesday, we are delighted to announce the release of two new titles by KIBI publication. First, the Venerable Lama Champa Thaye, A Reign of Compassion, a commentary on the fifth Shamarpa, a concise Lojong manual, and second one, KIBI, second, the Sunday lesson in English, which is in Manual for Learning to Read Tibetan in Tibet. Now I would like to request General Secretary to hand over the new book to His Holiness and His Holiness, who will then release the book publication. A big applause. So now book will be available in KIBI bookshop and library for sale. Now I would like to request Your Holiness to present a copy to Catherine Beggar La, our librarian, who always support KIBI publication. Thank you so much. Please, Catherine Beggar. She is very kind and always helping our lineage. Thank you so much. So a very special thanks to Venerable Lama Champa Thaye La, who always great support us in these auspicious activities. We especially thank Lama La for unrestrained support in the preparation of the Reign of Compassion. Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Holiness. Finally, on behalf of Karmapa International Buddhist Office, we would like to thank KB Library and Publication for their auspicious work, and we hope that many more books are available and on the way to provide support on the path of enlightenment. Thank you to everyone for your hard work. We appreciate your practice in Dharma. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Nyeparan Jawan Zobe Janshu Dun Jawaran Jeba Medemba Mejan Duba Dan Demba Demba Yawa Yawa Jawa Tiba Jemba Gindene Lebra Jaba Rembra Jaba Tambra Jaba Tambra Jaba Tama Jabe Osa Jaba Jajabe Osa Sonam je parje shen yong son jawan jembo jimbe ne sen jirba kanda ya jimbe ne sen jirba jembo Shanzara wan dan je je jamba dan je sen yeran kaya so ye wan jeng sen da gen je sampan tam jen zob Chang Jun Jeng Wo Sa Xie Bu Xie Zhong Xie Men Dan Da Zhe Ran Le Ye Nian De Jian Ba San Ye Xian De Mi De Bu Wa Yen Zhe Ge Nam Da Ye Che Pa Ra Zhu Zem Je Nam Ye Zam Ban Dang Lo Yen Che Da Che Da Wan Che Xuan Da Men De Ba Che Jian Gu Lo Gu Du
Good afternoon, and also good evening, and also warm welcome to all the viewers. So, how are we today? So it is with some hope that you were able to make good use of your time since last night till now. Of course, you have received great many occasions to reflect on the Buddha Dharma in a more traditional way from the great panels of our teachers here during this March course here, and I hope it has benefited you and you were able to will reflect at least and see how much they make sense. And yes, and hopefully it will be beneficial for you when you go about your daily lives. And yes, and then hopefully they have complemented with your study of the guide way and the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, the Bodhicaryavatara, to some extent. No pressure added, just from our own intellect, interest. Intellect is important, but at the same time, interest probably is the most important. And in this case, the interest or curiosity, if it is coming from in Tibetan known as Nginjung, or one of the translation of that in English is known as renunciation, or a very, very colloquial term which comes in here. Don't remember exactly which verse it was. Yes, it was in the 6th verse actually of the 8th chapter of Bodhicaryavatara. It says that the third line of the stanza in Tibetan says "Kyowe semchen jikpache." So therefore, kyowa in this case is a very direct term for renunciation, direct translation of even the Tibetan sort of more professional term, Ngenjung, renunciation, kyowa, as in basically simply sadness, And in this case, it's not saying when we hear the word or read the word sadness, I don't know how it is translated in the English version. No, I'm reading it. It says in this one version, it says tormented by. Okay, what did you say? Wholesome delusion, yes. Disillusionment, yes. That's a good one. Okay, I cannot find it. I have this bit of dyslexia. Anyway, yes. Wholesome disillusionment, yes, it's a nice word also. But I like the word sad. Are you sad? Are you sad? Are you sad? I'm sad. Sure. There's the popular idea of sadness, yes, but it doesn't have much of a weight. And we like to be moody, one could say. And if you would like to be moody, probably this is one good opportunity to be moody, in a way, one could say. Because this is one sadness that has weight, that is worthwhile to be sad, let's say. And so, anyway, I'm just twisting words. But yes, renunciation. If the interest is stemming from that type of sadness, one could say, meaning that if one is awake or somewhat awake, then we can see the transient nature of all things, and as a result, then we can see oneself, or one could say one's own past, or how I have been. Then from that point of view, that there are many others, despite of their age, that they are more or less in that state of being hallucinated by many things, that there is a sense of permanency in so many activities. So, sadness, yes, I still haven't found the right way to put it, but I'm sure I will get there somehow. But in this case, it's one of the good ones. Yeah, it's not sadness in terms of depression or something that will drag us down. Instead, well, maybe to a certain degree it may drag us down, but nevertheless, it's the other perspective of tough love or something like that. The opposite end or something like that. And discovering that it was not sweet, but instead it was sour or something, it does give us that jolt. But nevertheless, I mean, we often use this word necessary, but I don't know if that's the right or appropriate word. But somewhat I don't know, a wakeful, if one can say, it helps us to like I don't know, like tasting something's like lemon or something, and it's kind of refreshing. Probably that's a better word. The first instant and the first moment is probably not so pleasant, but what comes afterwards is probably very refreshing. Yes. So if it is coming, if that kind of interest is there, then it's very good. Yes. If that interest is not there, not to say it's not good, but still it can be a very good time pass, because at least during these occasions we will not be destructive, one could say, for oneself and for others. So, that's there. So, yes, this particular understanding of disillusionment is, or if I say is, probably it's going a little too far from my side, but seems very, very healthy. Yeah. And in this way, then, like how the verses came into being yesterday, as we read through, it doesn't mean in any way to disregard friendship, disregard bonds, and so on, and social orders or whatever is there. No. It's just so that it kind of complements, it kind of complements this. If we are all in favor of developing, strong bonds and friendship, probably this is almost necessary, so that we will not become an extremist for the sake of friendship. This is sort of like, in some ways, one could say counterbalance or something. And therefore, we will not fantasize over the top in terms of what we identify. Depression, how does it arise? Well, probably one way of putting it is that when we put the so-called friendship or the so-called bond, trust, and so on and so forth, higher and higher, up the ladder to a point we're on top of the umbrella sort of thing. And then it's a very edgy thing. And so in this case, this very attitude that all great Bodhisattvas, all great practitioners, or all great masters, one could say, what they have realized is that somehow there is simply no point, no need to, put things on top of the crown or the umbrella. Instead, one could say very healthily that for the sake of cherishing this great bond, one accepts the very fact that everything that appears within this condition is constantly changeable, and it's not because of one's or someone, oneself or others' fault or something like that, or that it was a lie or something like that, or it was a conspiracy or something like that, but it was always like that, or it will always be like that as long as anything that is born from this range, from this condition. And so therefore one accepts this fact. And so that acceptance initially emerges from a sense of a melancholy, but it's not depressing. Yes, it just sort of sheds away whatever feathers we have put, or decorations we have put, and we see the decorations as decorations and nothing more, and we see the actual, well, in the case of this chapter of shamatha or samten, then we see the skeleton, which, and that's how it goes, as we get into the core of things, through the verses, that we begin to see them, one could say the base or the foundation of how this condition is manifesting, from what kind of foundation it arises. And so therefore, how do I say this? That sort of bare aspect, without the feathers, that bare aspect is somewhat very healthy to see, yes. That we are helpless, one could say, that maybe that skeleton is that we are helpless, we don't know. Probably that's the best skeleton, yeah. That we don't know. Yeah. We think we know, we were educated to feel that we know. We were taught to feel that we know, from the moment we could walk and talk, think, that I could stand on my two legs before the others, I could walk before the others or something like that. So it gets in a very curious way drilled into us. Not with malice, of course, but that's how the structure is formed, the foundation, the skeleton is kind of formed. Yeah. So therefore, if we can focus on that, take time to focus on that, metaphorically speaking, literally speaking, it becomes a great part of this practice of jhana. Yeah. So you see, it's very active. It's not a spaced out state of mind, where we just simply sit and look good enough. Well, look good enough, yes. Why look good enough? Probably it's for others. Well, not others, not in this case, for the sake of all sentient beings, but probably just image, image-wise. So instead, focusing, concentrating, meditative concentration, perfect concentration, all that, meaning focusing on those aspects that will help us sort of dismantle all the coverings, layers, feathers, and so on. Yeah. And then we can see that it's not necessarily anarchy, meaning it's a movement or something. Nothing of that sort. This could lead to movement, of course, and if that happens, well, we cannot say it's good or bad. It's just it's a sort of a sidetrack. Yes, so it's not necessarily an act of being rebellious, also, yeah? Because we could think that way. Maybe we are not so happy with a certain friend, maybe we are not happy with our parents, or maybe we are not happy with our teachers, or maybe we are not happy with our colleagues, or maybe we are not happy with our doctors, or lawyers, or officers, or anything, And so therefore, we could think that, okay, Buddhism kind of offers this idea, and it very much coincides with what I've been feeling, and therefore I think this is the right type of spirituality, and therefore become extremely rebellious, And so of course it's not really it has nothing much to do with that. It's not, the practice is also not saying in a way to say, to put a board in front by saying it has nothing to do with that, in defense of the lineage or something. That's also not there. Yeah. It just doesn't offer anything. The only thing that offers is to say something like, open your heart or eyes or mind or something like that, and nothing more. So, yes, so now if one lacks this type of, what we could say, meditation, this loose translation of samten, then it says that we could very much lose this particular vision or insight. And if that happens, will we go into chaos? Will we go into well, basically, will the world end? And also no. That's not the case also. It's just, it'll be nice. It will be really, really nice if you could it will be very nice if we are somewhat awake. So that's the thing. So I hope with that kind of interest you were able to read some of the passages, the verses, even the commentaries, and have really productive conversations among yourselves, and without disregarding your bond, friendship, connection, and so on, but or not even the other extreme, where trying to say you in a very professional manner also, but in a very lively way. So, then having said that, we were here, there, after between the 19th and the 20th stanza, and yes, busyness, or busy in Tibetan, ndunzi, mindu, as in sort of, clot, blood clot. Sort of, there is a commotion, like a wound or something, and then the blood seems to clot. So something like that. There's a commotion. But before the commotion, let's say, if you want to think of it in terms of the origin, the history, then probably the funny primordial scene of it is the idle moment, called often known as ignorance or something like that. And so therefore, basically, too many repetitive things, and therefore the mind is kind of dull. And then after some time, what happens is that there's a change. Obviously there's a change, it's always happening, but something stronger, suddenly there's a brawl, and that kind of shake things up. And so therefore then the mind sort of concentrates on that, yes. And then one could translate that as awakening, but probably not. Yeah. But all that is that we get into that brawl, and nobody knows why there was a brawl, but but then it feels that one must contribute to that brawl, and then does various unmentionable things, and then of course one may escape from bruises, but nevertheless comes out of it thinking, what just happened, And did we learn something from that? Nothing at all. Yes. It just, all we can say is something happened, and maybe we will put feathers on top of that incident, and decoratively add many feathers, and becomes lots of whispers, and hopefully they will turn into legends, and so on. Yes, and so therefore, yes, busyness. So, yes, is that an important thing that we should concentrate to live for? Most likely not. Yeah. Especially, I don't know, sayings like if you come of age or reach a certain state of experience, then we slowly, withdraw from that kind of activities, yes, and see that as childish. So, countless of metaphors to basically talk about that. It's all here, and eventually it leads to well, what does it really lead to? It's difficult to say. I mean, in terms of the direct translation of the root text, it's kind of clear. Eventually it says, first of all, mentally there is no real reason to get interested in those kind of activities. And then literally, because of that understanding, hopefully we will physically also keep distance from such things. But this condition, this human condition is such that although we have the ability to, not to say to be neutral or something like that, but nevertheless, although there is the quality to absorb, to understand, what is the word? I suppose absorb, yes. To take in the meaning and the qualities, but nevertheless, somehow it's a sort of a wobbly state in some ways, I suppose, and so therefore we feel black and white, yes and no. Are you with me or are you not? Are you in or out? Are you on this side or that side? That kind of so-called user-friendly sort of approach. And therefore, then we could withdraw ourselves again and go to the extreme, which is another nuisance. Yes. So, if you are able to understand that, then it will make sense that now, what does the Tathagata say, that for beginners who wishes, who has the wish to wake up, who wish to see the truth, yes, then what was the one word? It's in the 17th verse that says in Tibetan, Sacho Dagir Zumempa, meaning a place or a space that is not owned by anyone. Yeah? That's quite literal, of course. It's probably a literal translation of retreat, place of retreat, place of solitude. But to me, I like that idea because well, I thought I liked the idea. Now I don't remember why I said that. Well, yes, place of retreat. To many of you, you will relate to the Tibetan word gunpa, which is a very nice word. And then there are words like vihara in Sanskrit, English, place of solitude. And what do they mean? It's just, the obvious meanings are there, of course, yes. But probably such spaces are probably no longer available anymore. We are dividing up not just the land, the earth, we have divided up the water, we have divided up the space, wind, not yet maybe, but we are trying to. Cans of oxygen, probably that's the first step. I was very surprised at the age of 10 to realize that we have to start paying for drinking water. To us, by now, we have become immune to such things, yes, obviously. A bottle of water, how much? But those days, that was just unbelievable, yes. To pay for drinking water, it was as similar to saying, to breathe once, you have to pay for it, Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if such conditions really exist nowadays for solitude. Well, anyway. Yes, for beginners, yes. For when we are trying to take the very first steps, then it seems that there is a certain quality if you can have some space. Of course, when we use the words like taking space, I need some space, it's often a very sort of well, if not offensive, it's a little bit not so pleasant, to hear, to say, I need some space. However, in this case, seeking for that solitude, if it is coming from, I don't know, to really focus on something as beneficial and precious like this, to really focus on, forget enlightenment, forget bodhicitta, forget refuge, but just to focus on this disillusionment, I think it's worthwhile. Even if it takes a little bit of energy, a little bit of effort, probably it's worthwhile to seek that little space. And of course, there's no harm or offense coming from seeking for that bit of space, because that's the very, very first step. Whichever vehicle we are trying to, or that we are interested in. Yes. In this case, of course, the very vehicle that we are interested in is that of the Bodhisattva's vehicle. Yes. And for that, or we could say, up for the Mahamudra vehicle or something like that, higher than the Bodhisattva, doesn't matter. First things first is the disillusionment. And if he can acquire that, if he can create some space, great. Yeah. It's worth fighting for it, I think. Now, from that space, of course, it's Shantideva is trying to talk about the quality of such space. That in such space, then you are free from such commotions, busyness, dunzi, dunzi, Tibetan word, coagulate or come together, and then lots of vibration, nzi, and it doesn't do any good. You just have a spectacular brawl, that's it. So then one is somehow free from that. Not permanently, of course, in this case, but at least for the time being we have some space to think, some space to reflect. Yeah. But this reflection or some space to contemplate, is that meditation? Yes and no. Yes, in terms of, it's a part of meditation, yes. But is that the whole meditation? No. Yes. It's the beginning of a process. Any confusions there? Or questions? If you do, you can ask. Obviously. Who else? Yes. Microphone. If you're still thinking of love, this chapter does help. Yes, no, it's that gentleman, yes.
Dear Karmapa, thank you for your kindness. I have a question. How to practice in everyday life pure view? Pure view
Yes.
in everyday life for people, usually for people who long time, and it's not easy to have a pure view. How to do this?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. You can pass the mic backwards. Yes. Very good question, because this particular chapter, I think, really goes deep into that, of what we would often say pure view. And probably that's what I was talking about, and hopefully that's how it intrigued you to ask this question also. And so this disillusionment, yes, is very, very helpful to not to maintain pure view, because that sounds degrading in a way, because pure view doesn't need maintenance in a way. Once you have it, you have it. Or once you realize you have it, you have it. It's just that at the moment, the story that intrigues us into developing this pure view is very much a story, and so therefore it feels that it needs support system, maintenance, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't. All one needs is, from the very, as they say, get-go, or from the start, to have really good disillusionment, yes. It could be a little bit radical, to be disillusioned, meaning it could feel like that's what triggered my depression or something. It's possible. But it has a different quality than all the other factors that contribute to depression. In this case, yes, the first instance is sour or bitter, or sour, bitter, and similar to that. But nevertheless, it's like a very good friend, or a very good teacher, or a parent, let's say, giving a good scolding in a way, tough love. And therefore, it's a bit bitter to digest, but nevertheless, we are intelligent enough to realize that it's not coming from really from emotions, out of frustration. That it's being their emotion being lashed out on you in the form of, I don't know, seemingly a correction of some kind. We are able to understand. It may take time sometimes, but nevertheless we are able to understand that it came from a good heart. So in this case, disillusionment is the same. That through this disillusionment, then we take away all those notions and ideas and concepts that we have about the ideal person, the ideal place, the ideal lifestyle, and so on and so forth. Yes, we do have to accept that in order to intrigue us to to have the bravery, one could say, to have the confidence to disillusion things, let's say, somehow there is no other way but to get a little bit fascinated with beautiful stories, that as if there is an ideal way of living, and that there is a perfect being that we all can become, and it's not only reserved for the VIPs, but for all, and so on, all kinds of stories like that. Yes. But nevertheless, those are just a lead up, those are just skillful means. But at the end of the day, is to gain those stories that they are just to help us gain enough confidence to say, okay, I think I will try this disillusionment method. And when we do, like I said, it's not pleasant at first, but nevertheless, where we will arrive is that we will see the foundation, we will see the base, the basis, or the skeleton, and then we can see should I be more than a friend, or should we just be friends? Anyway, I will not go into that. Try not to go into that direction. In short, then on a very grounded level, you can connect to someone and be able to accept that today he or she will be in a very in a very good mood, and then at the same time be able to accept that tomorrow possibly there might be, I don't know, a stormy weather or something, and at the same time be able to accept that that is only natural, because that's it's all conditional, let's say, At the same time, we are not trying to say that underneath those layers, that goodness, that little gem is underneath there. Those are just metaphors, of course. The truth is, it's all just one big onion, So therefore, yes, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but if we can accept that we are all onions, then we will treat it the right way, We will treat the onion in such a way that is healthy, in every aspect, but we're not decorating anything on top. And at the same time, we are not putting down anyone, starting from oneself or anyone else. We just really, really begin to see who we really are, which is exactly as I said. I must repeat again, that underneath all these sort of poise, that deep down it's I don't know, a source of pain or something. Not in that sense, but it's just nothing but layers. All we are is nothing but layers, and so therefore we don't have to worry, we don't have to doubt, and we can be wonderful, fellow onions or something, and live quite happily. So, pure view, in this case, a wonderful onion. Yeah. I mean, that's, and that will never change, Yes, onions, if it can happen that it will produce more onions, but it will be always the same, And so therefore we can trust that, An honest person you cannot trust, but a dishonest person you can trust to be dishonest or something. So, in this case, you don't need to even think about pure view. It's just, that's it. Yes, I would definitely admit that it was not inspiring to say all these things, but yeah.
So Karmapa, gentleman offered me to be first.
Okay.
So I have a question, and I'm sure that all teachers already reflected on this, but somehow I cannot still grasp it. What is the best way to practice selflessness to achieve this understanding and realization of the emptiness of self?
Like I was saying yesterday and day before also, and it's difficult to box, to say what is this selflessness is like, or what is this shunyata or emptiness is like, It's difficult to sort of box and say. But it's not impossible also, of course. For the fact that you can hear my voice through this sound system is probably a very good presentation of this direct answer, one could say, But it becomes too abstract, of course, yes. For not to say to our colloquial mind or something like that, or childish mind or something like that. It's just that as long as we are habitualized to think in a very structured way, linear way, then it just doesn't make much of a sense. And so therefore, I think Shantideva obviously knows that, yes? And so therefore, although he will be talking about that very thing, that selflessness aspect, in the next chapter, and we can all rush ourselves to read the 9th chapter already, But if you just read that alone, without all the 8 previous chapters, we will not understand anything. And therefore, it kind of makes sense with this saying that in the the Tome Zampo's 37 practice of Bodhisattva. It says that without wisdom, there are no other forms of paramitas, and the all previous 5 paramitas will not be completed without the wisdom paramita. Same thing. It's the same saying, but without saying it so upfront, it just shows that, And so therefore, we cannot really say. I mean, we can, but it's it's not so practical, yes, in some ways, and so therefore we may need a bit of patience, one could say, yeah. And in this case, patience not just to wait, but to go through these chapters, over and over again, as if we are trying to educate ourselves. Yeah. Then maybe it's possible, because like I said, you cannot pinpoint and subtract, the selflessness quality from the rest. Yeah. But that doesn't also mean that they're all mixed, like coffee and milk and sugar and something like that. Not in that sense also. It's just that we like a story. And how does a story told? It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And only through that then we are able to get the punchline. We can tell the punchline already, but it means nothing. Yes. So therefore, that, well, not to say courtship or something like that, but that lead up seems to be equally important. Yeah. So therefore, read. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Here, he was a gentleman again.
Okay.
So, dear Karmapa, first of all, thank you so much for your time, kindness, and really for all. And maybe some friends didn't have the time to hear the beginning of the text, and a few friends are leaving soon. Would you be so kind and give us the link for the whole text today, maybe?
For the 8th chapter, yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, of course, yes.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Last question?
Shantideva, Your Holiness. Thank you once again for this opportunity and for the teachings. I have two very small questions. First is that, what was your experience of enlightenment? When and where did it happen? Like which place? Because today we spoke about the solitude and places for practice and meditation. So maybe you could open this box for us. And second question is like your guidance and advice on the paramita of discipline as a remedy for laziness, not only in the practice but also in our lay daily life.
Okay. So those were the two questions, yes? The second question was...
remedy for laziness.
The best answer I could come up for the first one is, I don't remember. Maybe it happened too long ago. Yes. No, but I do very much feel that I'm very, very blessed, of course, to have the merit, most importantly merit. I wouldn't brag too much about wisdom, yes. I have yet to work a lot on that. Yes. But in terms of merit, yes, I can be quite pompous on that subject, yes. Without the merit, my teachers would not see me or recognize me. It's not because they are biased or something like that, they are all Bodhisattvas. But because of my merit, then they're able to understand me, see me, recognize me in a way that probably this boy has some potential, one could say, to be of some influence for others, yeah. For good or bad, no one knows, only time will tell. But yes, merit, yes, a lot, yes. And so therefore, I try to sort of transform this merit into aspirations as much as possible, yes. And in this way, I feel that, more than my actions or what I say or what I do, probably the aspirations are probably the most beneficial one, because it's so passive, it's not visible, and so you cannot have much errors. Whereas what we say and what we do, there could be a lot of errors, And so therefore I try to transform my merit into that, yes. And of course, one of the main aspirations is that and that the realization is not requiring any kind of effort, of course, that it happens all spontaneously, just as we woke up into this world, which feels very much like a miracle if you really think about it, So just like that, that all of us will just simply wake up. Yeah. That is my wish. So that is what I aspire for. In terms of laziness, for the second question, how to overcome it, for that, the answer is also, I don't know. Yeah. Because it's difficult to say what is the right method, to overcome laziness. It's a term we use, of course, laziness, often. At times, maybe it is used to encourage others or oneself. At times, it is to kind of, put down oneself or others. Yes. And so I think I would probably go back to the 7th chapter of this, the joyous effort, which I did say or repeat a few times in the past, that which I may have contradicted in some ways, but I don't think I contradicted yesterday when I said do something, just do anything. Yeah. Of course, I'm not trying to promote radicalism or to do something drastic, of course, to harm oneself or others or something like that. But meaning, there could be any kind of, any field that we could be very, very, good enough, fluent enough, I don't know, business, art or craft or medicine or science or anything, accounting, I mean, there are all sorts of nowadays professions. Not that there wasn't in the past, but from any of those activities, you know, if you feel that we are not good at anything, at least we can start from somewhere. But most likely, by now, from this point of life, I'm sure there must be some area that we are quite well versed with, you know. And so from there, start something. Just keep doing, you know. And it is so interesting that once you keep doing, that one door will lead to another, obviously. Yes. Because let's say to understand, I don't know, health, you might need to understand many other factors that is not in any way remotely connected with health, you know. And so it just becomes the first step or the opening door or something, and it will lead you everywhere. I mean, that's sometimes how these Buddha Dharmas are also named, you know. That once you know one, then you know all the others. You know? Because you cannot just say, okay, I stick to one sutra or one, you know, pitaka or basket or something, and this is my calling and this is all I know. No. In order to understand that, it will lead you to all the other subjects. If you're interested in the philosophical aspect of the Buddha Dharma, it will lead you eventually to meditation as well, or the other way around also. You know? So, in this way, without even talking about laziness, you know, and how to overcome it and make that or somehow turn it into a problem, you know, as if we have a problem. Instead, without even bothering about that, we just begin to do something. Yeah? And that starting point can be from anywhere. Yeah? And then we just keep going, you know, keep going, and it will lead us everywhere. Yeah? Okay. There's one here. Yes.
Dear Karmapa,
Yes.
I'm joining to previous people saying thank you for everything you're doing here,
Okay.
this time and previous, and hope next. And my question is laying in a field of place of practice, because this specific chapter contains some kind of remains like so it remains. So it says something about places for practice, like to go somewhere where no people and like maybe comfortable and so on.
Yes.
My question is, how this influence of place important for practice? Because I heard that there are some special places in the world, for example, like in Bodh Gaya, where all the Buddhas will reach enlightenment. But I'm talking about maybe not the specific places.
Sure.
But is it important to find a specific place, and how important this influence? I mean, for the practice. And a kind of a specific question, in addition to this question, so maybe you're aware of, in Bihar, 60 kilometers from Bodh Gaya, there are like 6 caves called Barabar caves. Some people think, because it's not like scientifically proved, that they were designed to help meditators, because it has very special qualities, made with very, very high precision of like, sound and so on. So, I mean, my question is, do we need to find a secret, special place to enforce our practice or support our practice? Or it's just a, I don't know, like...
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes. mm, yes, in terms of special places, from that plain perspective, yes, of course, one could very proudly say that they are sacred or unique places. Yes. When a practitioner no longer sees any kind of separation, in terms of subject and object and all that, then from their point of view, it's not even a place. That very environment is. It's strange to say, but not even a part of them, but it's or an extension of them, but that's it. So in that sense, yes, what we would call blessing, that we have that kind of fascinations, of course, and so therefore, yes, it seems that it's possible to recognize such places as sacred. Yeah. And being in such a place, it has its, I wouldn't say aura, but it has that quality, charm. Yeah. Let's say it's similar to, let's say, a neighborhood where there's constantly a lot of a place of great brawl, intoxication and so on. That kind of neighborhood, the closer you get to that place, you can feel the blessing. Yes. And it does something to you that you feel like maybe I should join this this brawl, and take part in it or something. Of course, once you come out, you feel, like I said earlier, you feel what just happened. So yes, of course, in that sense, yes, there is something. Yeah. But overall, it's saying seclusion or solitude, retreat, all these, of course, it's sort of a fine line, I think. Of course, in Buddhism it says it all, if you have to find a way to distinguish what is what, it all comes from the motivation. And so therefore, in order to seek the solitude, if it is coming from a motivation of saying, I don't know, I'm tired of these people, or I'm tired of this, and then, simply seeking to cave in, what is the word? Introvert or something, then it may not be the healthiest thing. Yeah. Even seeking for, trying to do a so-called retreat, it may not be the healthiest thing. Yeah. And so therefore, first thing to examine, obviously, is the attitude, So therefore, renunciation, meaning it's the attitude to awake the mind, the mental aspect of things first, to look around and without judgment of saying, you are all very bad for me, you are all toxic for me, and so on. Not in that sense, but in a sense, like the previous question, pure view, where I said that we see that I'm an onion, you're an onion, and so we are stinky, and and so we cannot accept that, Then probably it's possible. Yeah. Then from there, now if one seeks for solitude, then it's not really an escape, you know. And therefore, term like refuge, vows, all these suddenly don't sound so negative, actually, because the first part is covered, because it's not for selfish reasons, you know. I want to get away from all of you. It's not like that. Or I'm getting away for you, you know. It's not dramatic also. Instead, it's just you saw, well, maybe not the whole truth, but some aspect of it, you know, onions. And therefore, then one takes time to now make the effort to take some time to find some space. Yes. So, therefore, I don't know how easy it is nowadays to find that kind of space, particularly in the known world or developed world. But otherwise, there are probably places, or even within the developed world, we can find spaces, you know, maybe somewhat catered for that. Yes. And so now that may be a special place. Yeah. In that case, the place may have some importance. Yeah. In order to further investigate the onionness of things, you know, and to really reflect and to be quite courageous in a way, you know. The first thing is yes, to accept oneself in this case. And so it takes a lot of courage, yes, and you need a bit of space for that. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Dear Karmapa, скажи, пожалуйста, почему все кармапы рождаются мальчиками?
Dear Karmapa, I will translate because he don't speak.
Closer, please.
Dear Karmapa, it's okay. Why all Karmapas was born by male? As male.
Huh?
Once again, why all Karmapas was born as
okay.
As male. As male.
Okay. I don't know. Yes. Maybe it's a pity. I don't know. Yeah. Let's make wishes that it will be the other way around. You know. Yeah. In some mirror images, maybe there are very many variations of the manifestations of Karmapas or something like that. Yes. Well, honestly, I really don't know why. Yeah. But one thing I would say is that if you read the life stories of all the previous Karmapas, yes, from the 1st to the 16th, sure, probably culture, due to culture or mentality, probably just like any other religions also, I think. Many other religions also appeared quite masculine, you know. And mainly, I think that was due to the culture also. Yeah. Before, I think, predominant religions came into being, probably meaning institutionalized form of religion. When they didn't come into being, prior to that, probably there wasn't actually. Yeah, it was kind of free, you know. But ever since it became institutionalized, then that feeling that it needs to be led, it needs to be carried, you know. And so therefore, the childhood memory of father came into being, I think. Yeah. And so probably that had some influence, I think. Yeah. But if you really read closely the biographies of the previous Karmapas, yes, physically they were, as you would put it, male, you know. But in terms of how they went about looking after, let's say, the practitioners, there is so much warmth, actually, yeah, that you cannot really differentiate if the Karmapa was like a father figure or a mother figure. You cannot differentiate, you know. It didn't matter. Yeah. Both the qualities or such qualities were always present. Yes? And so therefore, those who witnessed such qualities and were supported and benefited by those qualities just cannot tell. All they can say is, from the Tibetan language, Lama, Lama, and that was it. And cannot really say he or she, you know, because that was it. When I think a tough love was required, they exactly provided that, expressed that. And when that warmth and nurturing aspect was required, they were doing exactly that. Yes, and so therefore, it didn't matter. Yeah. And so probably that's one of the qualities of an enlightened being. You know, that it didn't matter, or it doesn't matter what kind of form they take, but it's strange to say that they're in touch with the feminine side and the masculine side. That sounds strange, but nevertheless, that caring, and yet at the same time being firm enough to say, well, this is false, you know, this is an illusion, this is a dream. To have the courage to say that directly, yes, that's also there. Yet at the same time, saying it in the most compassionate way. What is the quote? There are those common factors of a Bodhisattva, says providing and giving what is beneficial, and then providing that with beautifully, yes, providing that beautifully. And then the last two, but doing it in such a manner that is that coincides with the mentality, culture, and living, or at least appearing to live according to that culture. You know, so that's what they do. Yes. And that's probably all we need. Sometimes we have mothers who are very, very masculine. Yes, I'm sure you may have witnessed such mothers also. You know, so form doesn't really matter in this case. Yeah? Sometimes there are fathers who are very gentle. You know, if you almost get confused: are you the father or are you the mother? You know, yeah. Yes? Okay. You're behind as well.
Yeah, Karmapa. I think I'm a little bit stupid student, but I think now it's time to ask. In December, and now you mentioned merit. I thought a lot. I checked dictionary, but I still don't understand what does it mean merit is. Please, could you clarify merit?
Merit.
Yes.
Okay, merit. Okay. Yes, merit. I forget the Sanskrit term. Punya. Punya, yes. In Tibetan, it's known as Suenam, and from the Tibetan term, one can connect to it in a very unique way, which refers to some sort of food. Yeah. Because there's a Tibetan term for stomach, which is söpa or something, which means, the tummy. Yes. And so, of course, it's not just saying one tummy or vessel, or it's not just a noun also, But at the same time, it's kind of a verb also, I think. So in this case, probably punya is a good term, I think. Meaning that it's that interaction, it's that quality that gives sustenance or gives energy or something. Yeah. And so we have sayings like someone has guts, meaning courage or something, or someone has bravery or something. And so, yes, that is also somehow linked to that idea of merit, I feel. Yeah. The term merit, I don't know which is the origin. You can look up in the dictionary also. But in short, it has something to do with having courage. On the other hand, it has also something to do with, related to that, then it's like a furnace, one could say. And therefore, whatever form of timber, that you put in, it can be fueled, used as fuel, and therefore give a lot of energy. Yes. So there's something related to that. But otherwise, I've said it in the past, I often felt that the idea, beside not that I'm a linguist or something, but beside the language aspect, the meaning-wise, then merit refers to something like a base for trust. That's why in the past I use credibility, although if I'm making a mistake by saying that, I have my doubts, but otherwise it has something to do with that. Credibility. Meaning it actually means nothing, You may accumulate tons of merit, but maybe it means nothing at all. Yeah. But credibility means that the very action we accumulate or the very lifestyle we lead is such that, and in particular, if that is not for theater, but really just one is simply content and one is simply focused on that particular activity or action or something. Then, of course, we can add the idea of time on that, and then decorate it like that, and then one can pretty much say that then that pattern is almost timeless. Whether we are, I don't know, absent-minded, or whether we are asleep. I mean, I'm just borrowing some of the verses from this concerning bodhicitta. I'm not entirely talking about bodhicitta, but I'm talking mainly about merit. And so therefore the credibility, yes, is that you almost feel that now those around you can almost feel that because of your credibility, that they feel that they can count on you. You never lie, or you're always quiet, or you're always loud. Either way, that is, of course, it has nothing really to do with trying to keep the consistency, of course, and develop a sense of permanency. Also, that's not the case. The very person who's trying to accumulate is not really bothered, actually, much about that. But for some reason, because of the curiosity and the genuine interest of that person, for some reason, without meaning or intending, that there seems to be a consistency. And therefore, then slowly it gets kind of known in a way, and therefore there is a sense of credibility, yes. And now, I'm not saying just on a visible aspect or visible plane of visibility, but beside that as well, then it shows that if you have no such fear, then whether we are living or dying, because of that level of confidence, that person doesn't show much, not that he or she is not trying to show, but somehow there is less anxiety, And again, that vibrates, let's say, to others as well. Yes? And therefore, you may create stories and legends and whatnot, but nevertheless, the point is, again, inspirations, credibility is again, more and more like that. So therefore, now one can just imagine someone like, I don't know, Siddhartha, or the one who became enlightened, Bodhisattva Muni. One can just imagine how much of merit that he must have accumulated. Well, we say he, but that stream of mind must have accumulated. So much so that by the time that last its appearance or manifestation or rebirth, or however we call it, was that at the peak of that, yes. And so therefore, when he said to the 5 friends, yes, who became the first Sangha, isn't it? Yes. So all he had to do was recite the Four Noble Truths in the 4 lines, and simply say, "Please come," And he didn't need razor blade or anything. Beards, dreadlocks, they just came off, as if they were perfectly shaved. And like that, of course, there are countless of meritorious stories, of course. Yes. So in short, we all wish to be that, yes. But at the same time, we also don't want to really say, because it sounds not so grown up to say, now I'm going to do something good, or now I'm going to save the world or something. It sounds not so grown up. Yet at the same time, we want to, do something beautiful. Yes. And so therefore, how to be passive, yet at the same time, get the thing done. Yes. And so therefore, it seems that renunciation is the most natural way, And when you have renunciation, then there is no real need to announce it also. Yeah. And without having to announce it, the effect is such that you feel, or even those around you feel, that somehow you become a changed person or something. But it's not here nor there. Yeah. But it has paved the way, yes, to accumulate all the merits. Meaning that now you can tower up, on top of that foundation of renunciation, all sorts of, craftsmanship, yes. But that foundation is also important. Yeah. And so therefore, it says merit. But, of course, merit is not in any way separated from wisdom also. Yes? It's just, it's like saying walking, Walking, then either we are on 2 legs or 4 legs or 1,000 legs or something. Naturally, we have to talk about the right leg or legs and left leg or legs, and that's the only way we can begin to have a conversation about walking. It's the same thing. So awakening obviously requires both, yes, but they are not in any way really, really separate. So the more we talk about merit, then the more we are indirectly talking about wisdom. But maybe we're not making the wisdom, maybe we are sort of underplaying wisdom, so that it's not, well, maybe hopefully, if it is a case where if you talk too much about wisdom, maybe we will get either too excited or too I forget the word that I want to use. Don't remember. Must have been not important. So anyway, underplaying. Yeah, let's just say underplaying. Because maybe merit is, the idea of merit sounds probably more approachable, easy, wisdom sounds a little too heavy to digest. But the more we talk about merit, it will just come. It's like I said earlier, it's like the first door. It will naturally lead you to the other. Yes. And probably that's the most natural way. Yeah. Rather than jumping to wisdom and then to merit, probably merit is probably more. And then from all the merit, then of course the common practice we have is that of care. Caring is probably the most natural practice of accumulating merit. But we want to be able to care in the right way. Yes, not too much, not too little on ourselves, and so therefore renunciation seems to be the most appropriate way. Because through renunciation, then we will not spoil oneself or others, because then we have accepted that I'm an onion, you're an onion, and so therefore I will not try to package you, because if I try to package you or myself, at some point I will rot, and I will stink up the whole place. So instead, appreciate the onion in such a way that is tasty, delicious, healthy, and so on. Yes, when it comes to analogies, I rock. Yeah, I know. But it's something. It's there. It's somewhere there. Yes. So, or one could say ginger. I don't know. It's not beautiful at all. It's. I mean, until it's been, chopped into proper bricks or something, or slices, it's just unbelievable, Anyway, coming back, then yes, merit, I think it's something like that. Yeah. And it's wonderful. It's incredible. It's beneficial. Yes, linguistically, yes, it has something to do with courage and stomach and food. Yes. Solid food might be a part of it, I don't know. But beside that, yes, mental food probably is it. Yes. Anything that keeps us mentally healthy, it's a meritorious food, I'm thinking. Yes. And yes, then that could lead to wonderful things. Okay, then in terms of the root text, I will read on the last day the chapter of something, of dhyana. Yeah, it has quite a number of pages, but there is a good reason for that, because you need to prepare a lot for the 9th chapter. And so, therefore, one needs to cover both the metaphysical aspect of things as well as the everyday things, what we will call relative aspect of things. So now in the coming days I will try to read more of the root text and in order to cover it. Or I could go the other way, just read some lines here, there, and not really be in a rush to finish the chapter. So it's up to us. Then now, 주주 제네스 공도 주주 가니 곳속 요르고 나체가 두체가 조를 이래서 공데. Yes. So then, Looks like the Chenrezig meditation finishes at 6:30. So, so therefore, now we will power through the Chenrezig in order to make it for dinner. So, like I said yesterday, obviously to practice something as beautiful as the Chenrezig method of meditation, it requires, or not require, but hopefully the more we reflect on such literature, it is able to make sense, such as the idea of renunciation, I think, is probably often really, really neglected, actually, a lot. Yeah. We are, because there is this habit of boxing, and due to its user-friendliness, then we just like to jump into the dessert, and therefore not so nutritious, We forget the salad, we forget the main course, and because we are maybe just thinking of just calorie intake, So, and therefore, yes, this foundation is very important. And this foundation, of course, is none other than this idea of renunciation, or practice of sadness, which is not really the case, of course. But it's a method to see the framework, the skeleton, the foundation. And so with that in mind, then hopefully our meditation of Chenrezig is more meaningful and makes sense. Okay.
Chela Ndera Zomenyo Soye Lama Yena Landa Mawa Ganda Shaya Sajeda Denye Nanga Jishen Debanya Yeda Ganda Zavel Lama Kunjaya Ganda Zavel Lama Jaya Ganda Zavel Lama Yebra Jaya Beye Naza Jambane Lama Ranjan Jamone Shejaya Gada Jila Jabanye Jalaba Nama Doze Mageda Dorje Leba Zinga Shenja Daya Gana Dorje Jaboela Soembe Karmapa Yendimba Jona Lai Zame Janga Zinga Chenye Toma Zaje Benza Amenda Zagera Yonja Chabande Daya Ngada Zave Chabanda Deka Neye Gozai Chebeja Kye Yanda Yane Zobande Neza Jayanda Bengo Zanye Toba Malamba Yen Toba Yen Yola Danda Zawada Bande Taza Ngala Jada Dama Gen Onda Denda Dela Zawada Keba Zere Me Panjanye Yela Samze Geje Samnyela Jumne Karma Baye Yeba Goendange Male Nyadan Jabana Karma Baye Dela Najena Dage Dawa Jindela Baye Obanda Nido Bando Zoende Da Jodoende Benge Wande Majen Jawazim Jendam Jengoy Zobe Zanje Kombayen Danje Mao Ozo Zanje Nawandaye Daye Zanje Vandaje Jambanda Yonda Zemba Daje Nonala Zanje Jazemba Mengonyengo Deje Wanda Bada Meba Dewa Jije Jave Shingande Taje Dene Zembo Jurmanda Zewa Jenje Barama Jabaru Dera Jene Nande Jada Jade Gendage Mola Tabande Chojo Zanje Jaze Damje Gemendo Jenje Lando Deya da benza deya Buddha Maya Zawan Jodan Yawan Zeje Ozo Nye Zolan Jeyera Quando